So there is a literal daily checklist that I do every single day, or at least the days I want to make sales, which why would I not want to make sales every single day? But I do every single day to make sales, or at least advance my business towards making sales. And when I do this, when I'm really good about doing this, and when I teach other people how to do this, it works every single time. And the really cool part is that it doesn't have to take all day. It doesn't have to take 30 minutes if you don't want it to. You can get this entire list done in 30 minutes, or you can take 2 hours or 3 hours or 8 hours on it if you want to. But this is the daily checklist that takes your business from 0 to 100K, 200K, whatever you want it to be. So I talk a lot on this channel about passive income and digital products and courses and like all of these things, funnels, and I think a lot of times people think like you set it and you forget it. And there are a lot of elements where that's true. However, there's a lot of elements where you need to put in just a little bit of work every single day to make those things work even better. So if I'm doing these things, that means that my funnels, my email list, my sales strategies, like all of the things that I'm doing work better than if I'm not doing these things. And like I say, you can take 30 minutes and do all of this. You can take 3 hours and do all of this. There are things in each section of this checklist, each checkbox in this checklist, that you can do shortly. Like you can take like a little bit of time, or you can do with a lot of bit of time. Like it's up to you and what you have going on that day. And essentially there are 5 sections to this checklist, but each of these sections has like a little section under it, or like little things that we need to talk about under it. But those 5 sections are research, create, sell, nurture, and network. And like I say, each of these sections has some checkboxes underneath each section, but if you'll do these 5 things, you will advance your business every single day. It's actually really funny. I see a lot of people, because I've been in this industry for a long damn time, who start off and they do really good, or they, pop up here and there and they'll like do okay this time, but not necessarily this time. And they'll like have moments of doing amazing, and then they'll have moments of not doing amazing. And you kind of see them, and then you don't see them, and you see them and you don't see them. And it's because they're doing a fraction of this sometimes, but then the other times they're kind of like dipping out. And that's what we want to try and avoid. So before we get into this, what I really want you to do is set some time on your calendar every single day to get these things done, okay? So maybe today you only have 30 minutes. Maybe tomorrow you have an hour. And you'll see why I say that like you can fit it in whatever time you have. But maybe the next day you have 2 hours. Maybe the next day you have 15 minutes. But fit this into whatever time frame you've got, and go ahead and schedule it out on your calendar. That's gonna help a ton. Okay, first thing on this checklist is research. Now, if you're going to drop something, like if you're gonna look at this checklist and say, I only have 15 minutes, something has to drop, I would drop this part, because you can do more of this later. Like you can spend 0 minutes on this right now, but you can spend 2 hours on it another day and kind of make up for what you miss here, because it's not quite as income driving directly as some of these other things are. So this is the thing I would skip when you have to skip, but it is an important piece, so we have to talk about it first. Now, when I say research, this could be a lot of things. This could be researching your next piece of content. This could be researching your competitors. This could be researching your pricing for something that you're coming out with. This could be researching ideas for your next product or your next launch. But in some way, learn and research every single day. And as someone who's been in this industry a really long time, I can tell you for sure that things change, and you change, and your audience changes, and software changes, and all of this stuff. So when you are keeping up with it by researching all of those things on the regular, you are going to be the person that stays ahead, not the person who's like, oh, well, I have this thing like ready in my arsenal, and I'm just going to stick with that, and I'm not going to keep learning and researching. Those people are going to fall behind. Next thing on the checklist, and really honestly from here on out, I don't want you to skip anything, even if you're short on time. You can just do a shorter version of each of these things. So next thing is to create. Every single day, I want you to create something somewhere. okay? This can be something as in-depth as a main piece of content, like filming a piece of content or putting a piece of content out. This can also be like a side piece of content, right? Like, oh, I'm gonna put a like shortened version of my YouTube video on TikTok today, or whatever the scenario is for you. Or this can be even like something really simple, like putting up an Instagram story or a TikTok story, or putting up a poll on YouTube, or even writing an email. But in some way, somewhere, create every single day. Third checklist item, we need to sell every single day. If you want to make sales every day, you need to sell every day. Now, a lot of people will buck on this a little bit and be like, but I don't want to annoy my audience, but I don't want to do X, Y, Z. Right. You don't need to sell in the same way every day. You don't need to sell the same thing every day. You don't need to sell to the same person every day. But in some way, shape, or form, you need to sell every single day. Again, going back to what I said in the like create section, selling every day can look different every single day, and probably should look different every single day. So this could mean that like today, on Monday, I'm going to send an email to sell my thing to a certain segment of my email list. Or it could mean that I'm going to publish a YouTube video where in it I sell something to you guys. This could also mean that I'm publishing an Instagram story and I'm featuring a different thing every few days. This could mean that I'm running ads and people are seeing an ad every single day. It could also mean a combination of all of those things. And this is where we start to see and we start to be aware of how we could spend 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours doing this whole checklist. It's up to you and how much time you have every day. So if you have a lot of time to sell today, then maybe you do all of these things. You share something on Instagram stories, you sell to a segment of your email list, you put up a community post on YouTube where you sell something, and you do them all. Or if you only have 15 minutes, just write an email. Just post an Instagram story, but sell something every single day. Number 4 on our checklist that we're gonna do to get us growing that business, okay, is to nurture every single day. When it comes to running an online business, the core of your business is your audience, right? Like the reason you can make sales, the reason you can create content and it does well, the reason that you can do any of this, the reason you can make $200,000 or $1 million or whatever you want to make is your audience. So in some way, shape, or form, every single day, you need to make your audience feel like you see them, like you're there with them, like you're talking to them. This could literally just be an Instagram story. If you're an Instagrammer like I am and you love stories, which I'm not an Instagrammer because I don't really love having to worry about the algorithm, but I do love my stories and I do love hanging out with y'all on my stories, right? So if you're an Instagrammer like me, maybe it's a story where you're chatting back and forth with your audience. Again, a community post here on YouTube where you're asking a question or you're giving some advice. An email to your list. So what I do with my email list is I'm going to have certain emails that are selling to the whole group, certain emails that are selling to subsets of the whole group, like segments of the whole group, and then certain emails that are literally teaching and community building and nurturing. So send an email. That could nurture your people. You could also do like a coffee chat or some kind of open forum type of thing to get in touch with your audience. So if you're active here on YouTube like I am, maybe a live stream. I'm not a big live streamer, but if I was, that could be an option. Again, on Instagram stories, creating a story where they can reply back or they can add their own thing or they can answer a question for you. Maybe it's just that you're dropping a piece of content that day, but in some way, nurture your audience and make them feel seen. And then last, but definitely not least, you need to network every single day. I'll be honest, this is the one that I've not done the greatest job at doing ever really, but especially recently. Back when I first started my business, especially like the online facing side of the business, I had a business partner in that I had a podcast with someone, and she is the most magical, networker ever. Like she literally, like that is her gift in this world, is to network with people, is to have conversations, is to connect with people, is to connect other people with other people. So I really didn't have to do a lot of this networking myself because she was kind of helping me do that inadvertently or not even really meaning to, but that's kind of where we were. And so I've never been the best networker in general, but really in the last few years, I've kind of forgotten that that was a thing. And so this is something that I'm going to strive more to put back in my daily checklist. And I really want you to too. Okay. The reason that networking is so important, and I'll explain what I mean by networking every single day, or like working towards networking every single day here in just a second. The reason that it's so important is that your net worth is literally tied to your network. And when we meet new people and we entertain new people and we network with new people and we go out of our way to kind of become part of a group or whatever the scenario is, right, for you and your industry, we are branching out our options, our available resources. We are branching out the things we can do, our opportunities, all the things. So when I'm talking about networking, nurturing and networking are different because nurturing is your existing audience. Like, how are you going to nurture those people? Networking is reaching out in your peer circle in some way. Like, these people are peers with you and you want to reach out and like get in touch with them and get to know them better, or you know, whatever the scenario is. And there's several ways to do this. And again, there's easy ways, there's hard ways, there's more in-depth ways, there's ways that are gonna be more time consuming, there's less time consuming ways. So let's talk about that. When you're networking, this can be as simple as adding a comment or making a comment on someone's Instagram post, TikTok, like whatever the scenario is. So just the other day, I found someone on my Instagram feed who I absolutely love so much, like resonated with her style. She runs an online business, but she's also very vocal, like politically, and I loved what she was saying. And so I added a comment. And from there, she followed me, I followed her, like we haven't officially connected yet, but we are now on each other's radar enough to know each other, right? That was a piece of networking for me that day. So honest to goodness, just making a comment on someone's post can go pretty far. Follow someone new. It might be that someone comes across your feed and you're like, wow, I really, again, like what they're saying, like what they're doing, like whatever, let me follow them. You can even schedule a coffee date. So this was something I did a lot back in the day, is I would have like 15-minute intervals on one day where I would just do these like speed round, almost like a speed dating session with people in my network, and I would schedule coffee dates. I would say this is something you really should focus on when you're just beginning, because it does take a lot of time, but it can be how you really create lasting connections and lasting friendships with people who are going to, you know, be with you forever in your online business. People who might have a summit they want you to speak at, people who might have a podcast they want you to be on. Like, forming these connections can be a really big deal. You can also do things like getting on someone else's podcast, scheduling that, applying for it, or even being on it, right? That is networking. So to rapid fire recap, your daily checklist to get you making more money in this online business is to research, create, sell, nurture, and network. And if you will make a daily habit to do all of those things every single day with whatever time you have, you will pull out ahead of the people who are not doing those things. Because it's one thing to say, I want to start an online business, I want to create digital products, and I want to funnel them, and I want to create courses, and I want to create ads, and I want to have passive income. And like, it's one thing to say all of those things, and it's another thing to know how to do all of those things. And then it's a completely other thing to know how to keep those things running so that they're constantly getting fed new people to go through them and make you money. So if you're gonna start incorporating this into your daily schedule so that you can actually make the money you wanna make, hit me up with like a fire emoji in the comments below. That way you are like telling me, yes, you're gonna do this. I'm gonna hold you a little bit accountable. And you're also telling other people in the comments that they should do this too. So fire emoji down below if you're ready to take this checklist and make more money. And until next time, this is a good video for you to watch if you are looking to get started with passive income, digital products, and all things creating freedom, where you get to do whatever you want and still make the moolahs, because that's what I'm here for. All right, peace out, Girl Scouts. Bye.